Hello, I am Sherry Howard, and I get the honor and privilege of sharing with you today my thoughts on the 46th anniversary of Mililani Baptist. Came here with my family in 1979. I was in high school. We just moved to Mililani. And shortly after that, my husband Norman and I started dating, and he also came in 1979. So Mililani Baptist has been part of our family for a very long time. And I would probably sum it up as it's home to us in so many ways. The love, the aloha, God's almighty presence here, and just going to share with you a few tidbits of my experiences here. And 1984, Norman and I were going to be married, and Pastor Deb Eford unfortunately had to go to the mainland, so we were married by our associate pastor, Loyal Donnelly, and that was a wonderful experience. And both of my boys were raised in this church. Pastor Emerson Wiles baptized them, and so many people, Sunday school teachers, youth leaders, poured into their lives and just gave them such a powerful foundation that both of these boys today as adults are serving in their church because it was emulated to them by so many people, encouraging them as even in high school to be part of Fall Carnival, and just Michael was in the band. And again, the power of this church as family was incredible for my children growing up. And of course, women's ministry is an area that I had so much passion for, and I probably started very young. Women's ministry, very powerful, wonderful area that God has given me a lot of passion for, but to see so many women come together that needed the encouragement of other women, and to see people be loved on and grow in the Lord. Our ladies' Bible study has always been thriving, has always been such a biblically based, God-centered area that especially our young military that would come in and could be kind of velcroed to the group, it was so neat to see them grow in the Lord. And we always gave opportunity each week if somebody else wanted to take a turn leading. And to see these women who were so shy and nervous just come alive with God's word. And then as they left us, they've told me, wow, it was that time there that you women encouraged me, and now I'm leading women's ministry at my new church. And that is a God thing, that we are able to come alongside these women and lift them up and encourage them. So many other memories of the church, the living Christmas tree that we always did at the high school. I was usually always up in the very top, and there were pine needles poking us from behind, and just what a wonderful ministry. Our cantatas, and my whole family would have a role, and my husband would be a shepherd or a wise man, and the kids would be angels, and it was just a wonderful time in the life of our church as well. And the family, let's start that part again. The family, the home, the power of God in this place was never more real to me. In 2005, Norman was diagnosed with cancer, and after he had a really difficult surgery, he had to have treatment. But for 30 days before the treatment, he had to go on a salt-free diet. And for those of you who know me, the kitchen, not my thing. And then to be creative with a salt-free diet after trying to help my husband recover from surgery was really difficult. And the ladies at Mililani Baptist Church showed up in such a big way. every day Norman had some type of salt-free entree in front of him, and it was incredible. Just that again is the home, the family, the love of this church. And again, this year, many of you know Norm's cancer has spread and gotten much more aggressive, and he's doing chemo right now. And again, the love that has been poured out on us from this church, from cards to beautiful flowers to meals, but our prayer warriors at this church are so incredible. We feel like we have this whole balcony of prayer warriors all around us as we're going through this trial. And again, it is this church. And I would just like to sum it up as I said before, this church is home. I have no family here other than Norman and my son, and this is home. This is family to me. This is love. This is aloha. This is God filling this place that makes us want to be such a part of it since 1979. Thank you for letting me share.
Hi, church family. For those of you who don't know, my name is Morgan. I've been attending Mililani Baptist for a few years now. I first started coming when I was in middle school. I was invited by a friend, and then I started attending every Sunday with her and her family, and which was really cool because I don't come from a Christian family. My family they're not believers. And so it's really cool to be able to have kind of like a church family here, which I absolutely love. And it's just been a real blessing to be a part of and a member of Mililani Baptist. And I've pretty much been attending ever since I started coming when I was in middle school. I've really just grown through the different ministries here and stuff like that. And I work here, which is super cool, and I absolutely love all the staff here, all of our preschool teachers, and I work in the preschool as well. And just being able to be a part of the church in a different way is just a really great opportunity, and I'm really excited to see what God does with Mililani Baptist in the future.
Hi, I'm Logan Pooler, and I'd like to give you a testimony about our return to Mililani Baptist Church after we were here and came back. But I'd like to start it off with a verse that I think kind of leads into it. It's from 1 Timothy chapter 3, and it's verses 14 and 15. And this is Paul speaking. I hope to come to you soon, but I am writing these things to you so that if I delay, you may know how one ought to behave in the household of God, which is the church of the living God, a pillar and buttress of the truth. So I think that there's a lot in here, and I think that when I look at this and it kind of blends in with why I came back. The household of God, which is the church of the living God. I think that everywhere we go, every time we move, that we need to find some place that we can call our church home. We were already here back in 2009 to 2012, and this was our church home, and we made roots and connections. When we came back in 2015, Grace and I, we really didn't give it much thought. We came back to Mililani Baptist Church, even though we didn't live in Mililani at the time. This is where we grow. This is where our kids were part of the youth group, our youngest two kids. This is where we made connections that we still have today in Sunday school classes and in the Deacon ministry and in the church at large. Mililani Baptist Church is the household of God. This is the church which preaches the truth. And just like these verses that Paul says to Timothy, find a place. It's which is the household of God, which is the church of the living God. God is alive. God is moving in Mililani Baptist Church, and Grace and I are just happy to be back here, moving along with Him in Mililani Baptist Church. So I encourage you, if you're not made a commitment to be part of the family, I encourage you to think about it and become a member of Mililani Baptist Church and grow with us. So on behalf of Grace and myself, thank you.
Aloha everyone. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Cassie and I'm your youth ministry director here at MBC. And I've been a part of this church for as long as I can remember. There are many of you who have been introduced to me and I introduced to you through my grandparents. They were very active members in the church back in the day. But in 1999, at the solid age of 3 years old, I became a student here at Mililani Baptist Preschool. I may not have known it then, but having my start here set a solid foundation for not only my faith, but who I would later become. And fun fact, when I first started preschool here, my teachers thought I didn't know how to talk because I would go the entire day without saying a word. But look at me now. So fast forward several years, when I was in 6th grade, I was finally old enough to be a part of the youth group. I was so excited and it was fantastic. Best years of my life. I met so many people, made new friends, and most importantly, I grew a lot in my faith. When I graduated high school in 2014, I unfortunately also graduated or aged out of the youth group. And so now it was time for me to go to Big People Church and to attend adult Bible studies. That made me kind of sad because I really didn't want to leave the youth group. So I didn't. I stayed. But in order to stay, I needed to kind of help out. And so I would assist in small group discussions and then later on lead whenever I got the chance, whether that be leading a game or leading these discussions. But there then came a time in 2018 when there was a need for a youth leader. And so I thought, well, why not me? And so that year I was hired and became the youth intern. And since then, I've grown tremendously in my faith and as a person. I absolutely love what I do and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And so now I'm no longer the intern because I'm here to stay, and so now I am the youth director. But none of that would have been possible without God, my family, but also the unconditional love and support that you all have shown and given me throughout the years. You all have been and always will be my second family, my church family. So with all that to say, mahalo Mililani Baptist and happy 46th anniversary.
Hi, church family. I'm so glad to talk to you today as we celebrate the anniversary of Mililani Baptist Church. I just wanted to speak for a moment about what Mililani Baptist Church has done in my life, in the life of my family. As many of you know, we got here in 2017, and very quickly after we arrived, the Lord was really calling me. I felt that the Lord was really calling me into ministry to be a chaplain, hopefully for applying for chaplaincy. And Mililani Baptist Church came alongside me, very quickly allowed me to start serving as a lay pastor here and now as director of discipleship. And it's been really amazing to see this group of people who we've only known really for a short time. It's only about 4 years now. Come alongside us, encourage me as I was going through school, and continue to encourage me as we're now in the process of serving and applying for what we really believe that God has called us for. We really do appreciate all the encouragement that the church gives us, and we believe that God has called us here and given y'all to us to teach us how to better serve for His purposes. And we do greatly appreciate, again, the service that the church has done for us and for allowing us to serve in the roles that we've been allowed to serve here in the church. So again, just thank you, and I just want you to see what Mililani Baptist Church has been able to do in our development. Thank you. Happy anniversary.
Aloha everyone. My name is Micah Vargas. I'm a deacon here at Mililani Baptist Church. Now, I've only been at Mililani for a few years now, but there was a time where we didn't go to church, right? But we kind of had this major family tragic event happen, and so my wife and I were thinking, you know what, we need help, and we knew we need God in our life. So we looked around. We went through all around Mililani, you know, looking, oh, this church looks nice. That church looks nice. This church, it's really close, right? And that's why we even looked at Mililani, because it was like right down the street. Can't go wrong, right? So one Sunday we go ahead, we get dressed, and we're coming down the street, right? And I'm walking up to the church, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, you know, I looked at my wife, and I said, babe, if I'm the only brownie in this place, we're leaving, right? And she laughed, but she knew I was serious, right? And luckily, when I came in the door, man, I could tell there was good, all kinds of people, military people, you know, localish people. It was just good, right? And I got a good vibe out of it. So we walked in and we stayed, and that, you know, that was a great introduction. But the part that kept me here, the piece of the event that made Mililani Baptist my home was when I went to men's group. Now, in men's group, I expected, you know, some Bible reading, right, some talk story, and everybody to give everybody high fives, like, "Ooh, do a good job, okay, later," right? But when I went into the group, I sat down and I was watching everybody, and things were said. I believe it was Logan said it. And he's made a statement, and then John did not agree with the statement, and he let it be known. He said, no, this is this, that's whatever wrong, and they started debating, but it started getting like more passionate. Each one of them was I mean, they had some real emotion behind everything they were saying, right? And it wasn't like a mean emotion either. I could tell that this was important. They weren't over talking each other. They weren't poking each other in the eye with facts. It wasn't like a TV show, right, where they're just trying to get one up on each other. They're just trying to be a little witty to get some sort of laugh out of it. This was important, and I could tell it was important to both of them. And I remember John saying, like, well, show me in the Bible. And sure enough, the Bible got whipped out, and Logan said, you know, read the passage, and, you know, John had it, and he nodded his head, and he said, okay, you know what, I didn't know this, I didn't remember that one, but you know, that still doesn't cover this part. And when he said this part, it wasn't like he was trying to continue the argument. He was making sure the whole concept was being addressed, right? And so that really impressed me, right? I mean, not only was he listening, but he was processing the information. So both men were talking to each other. And even though they were both very passionate about what they had to say, they were listening, right? And so, that was important to me. I was like, this is where I need to be. I want people who are passionate about what they're doing. I want people who don't just spit stuff out of their face because they get to win the argument. I want somebody who cares enough to tell me the truth, right? And that's what I think it all boils down to. It's so easy to look at somebody and be like, wow, you're really messing up. But hey, you do you, dude, right? And move on. And that's really easy to do because you don't care. However, when you care about somebody, right? When they're messing up or they're heading down a dark road, taking that effort, doing that uncomfortable thing of addressing it with them and talking with them, it's worth your time. And that's what I felt like. I felt like addressing important issues where people would come at me and talk to me, that I was worth their time. And you know, it's happened. Believe me, we've had some conversations where, you know, things might not have been said in the best way, well, I thought was the best way, and they might not have been said in the most kind way, but they were said with love. And that's the main difference right there, that they cared enough to really talk to me about what's going on. And you know, at the end of the night, you know, I was ecstatic. Here were two guys, and they were just going at it. And in the end, you could tell that it was because they cared about each other, not because they were trying to win. And to me, that's what Mililani Baptist is. It's a place where, you know, people care enough about me to let me know when I'm doing wrong, that they'll check up on me like, hey, Micah, you mentioned this, you know, and I'm just like, ooh, he's not going to let that go, is he? Oh, I should really do that then, shouldn't I? Right? But it's also a place where if I did, the person will, whoever it is, will stand and listen. And then also give me feedback like, wow, that's really, that you know, that's really good. Or, you know, have you thought about this? And it's like, okay, that's nice. You know, that's important. Christianity is a people business, and I'm just glad that they're willing to take their time and to make me part of their business. So to me, that's what Mililani Baptist Church is about. So if you didn't know, now you know. Take care.